Before Eve, there was another woman. Genesis hides her in plain sight. 2 creation stories, 2 women, and one of them was erased because she refused to submit. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. Male and female he created them, together, simultaneously, equals. But then Genesis chapter 2 says God made Eve from Adam's rib. 2 different women. 2 different stories. Medieval rabbis noticed the contradiction and asked, who was the first woman? The answer is found in Jewish folklore. Her name was Lilith, created from the same dust as Adam. Equal, independent, and utterly defiant. But Adam wanted a subordinate. Lie beneath me, he demanded. Lilith's response changed everything. Why should I? We were both made from the earth. This wasn't about theology. It was about power. Adam insisted on dominance. Lilith insisted on equality. And when he wouldn't relent, she made a choice no woman in Scripture had ever made before. She spoke the ineffable name of God, the secret name forbidden to mortals, and flew away. She chose exile over submission. She chose freedom over paradise. God sent 3 angels to bring her back, Sinoi, Sansonoi, and Samangelof. Find her, God commanded. Return her to Adam. But when they reached the Red Sea where she had fled, Lilith gave them an answer they didn't expect. I will not return, she told them. The angels threatened to drown her. Still, she refused. God decreed that 100 of her demon children would die each day as punishment. And still, she refused. She had already lost paradise. She would not lose her autonomy. But Lilith's story is older than medieval rabbis. Much older. Her name appears in Babylonian texts from 2000 BCE, Lilith, a female demon of the wind, associated with storms, disease, and death. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, written around 2100 BCE, the dark maid Lilith builds her home in a sacred tree. The hero Gilgamesh drives her into the desert, an exile that would echo through millennia. The name Lilith appears exactly once in the Hebrew Bible, Isaiah 34 verse 14. Most English Bibles translate it as night creature or screech owl, hiding the name. But the Hebrew is clear, Lilith. The prophet assumes his readers already know who she is. The Dead Sea Scrolls, written around 125 BCE, confirm that ancient Jews knew Lilith. In the Songs of the Maskil, she's listed among demons to be exorcised, spirits of the destroying angels, demons, Lilith, howlers, and desert dwellers. She was real to them. She was feared. The full story of Lilith as Adam's first wife emerges in the Alphabet of Ben Sira, written between the 8th and 10th century CE. Here, for the first time, the ancient demon becomes Adam's equal and his defiant first wife. After leaving Adam, the legend says Lilith mated with demons and gave birth to hundreds of Lilim every day. When God killed 100 of them daily as punishment for her refusal, she vowed revenge. She would kill human infants in return. For centuries, Jewish mothers placed amulets inscribed with the names of the 3 angels, Sinoi, Sansonoi, Samangelof, over their newborns' cradles. Lilith had promised to spare any child protected by those names. A woman who chose freedom became a demon who steals children. A cautionary tale, this is what happens when women refuse to submit. So why isn't Lilith in Genesis? If medieval rabbis knew about her, if the Dead Sea Scrolls mention her, if Isaiah names her, why is she absent from the creation story? The answer lies in what Lilith represented. A woman created equal to man, who refused sexual submission, who spoke God's secret name, who chose exile over obedience. Every element of her story threatened the patriarchal order that Genesis was written to establish. So they replaced her. Eve, created not from earth but from Adam's rib, literally made from man, literally subordinate by design. Genesis 3 verse 16 makes it explicit, he shall rule over you. Eve was the solution to the Lilith problem. One woman demands equality, speaks God's name, and flies away. The other is created subordinate, deceived by a serpent, and blamed for humanity's fall. One is erased. The other is made the mother of all living. The message is clear. But erasing Lilith from Genesis wasn't enough. She had to be demonized. The woman who demanded equality became a child murderer. The woman who refused sexual submission became a seductress who attacks sleeping men. Her autonomy became her monstrosity. The folklore did its work. For over 1,000 years, Jewish communities used amulets, incantation bowls, and protective prayers to ward off Lilith. A woman who chose freedom became the bogeyman used to frighten mothers and control female behavior. Choose autonomy, the story warned, and become a monster. And so Lilith was written out of the official story. Genesis kept the two creation accounts but never explained the woman in chapter 1. Readers were left to assume both passages described Eve. The first woman, the equal woman, the defiant woman, simply disappeared. But in the 20th century, something remarkable happened. Feminists rediscovered Lilith. And instead of a demon, they saw the first woman to say no to patriarchal control. The first woman to choose herself. In 1976, Jewish feminists launched a magazine called Lilith, the first independent Jewish feminist publication. The choice of name was deliberate. Reclaim the demon. Celebrate the defiance. Honor the woman who refused to submit. Today, Lilith is a symbol of female autonomy, bodily sovereignty, and resistance to patriarchal scripts. Feminist theologians ask, was Lilith demonized because she was evil, or because she was free? Was she a monster, or just a woman who said no? Her story resonates because the core conflict hasn't changed. A woman demands equality. A man demands submission. The woman refuses and is punished. 2,000 years later, the script is still being written. Genesis never names her. But she's there, in the gap between verse 27 and the rib. The woman created equal. The woman who flew away. The woman they tried to erase. Some modern midrash imagines Lilith and Eve meeting, not as rivals, but as sisters. One who chose exile. One who stayed and endured. Both punished for different forms of defiance. Both written by men who feared their power. Lilith isn't the only woman erased from Scripture. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. The divine feminine Sophia. Ashira, God's wife. Judith, who beheaded a general. Women whose stories threatened the narrative. The question isn't whether Lilith was real. The question is why her story was told, and why it was buried. What does it say about a tradition that needs to demonize female autonomy? What does it say about us that we're still telling these stories? Lilith survives in folklore, in feminist theology, in popular culture. She's in Jewish mysticism and Wiccan practice. She's in poetry and protest art. The demon they created to frighten women into submission became the icon of resistance. This is Underlight Histories, the secret Bible series, stories they didn't want you to read. If Lilith was erased, what else is hidden? Subscribe to uncover the Gospels they banned, the women they erased, and the texts that didn't make the cut. Next episode, the Book of Enoch, 200 fallen angels and the forbidden knowledge that got them destroyed. Thank you for watching, see you next time.